Hello. I think we are live, which is amazing. If you have just joined, thank you so much for joining me. It's really nice to jump on live. I've not done this for a while and definitely not done this just me. I usually have a guest. And this is a really interesting topic and something that I've both been speaking to clients about, but also been facing myself. And we're at a really opportune point right now where it's the middle of the year and 2nd of July, we've moved into the second half of the year. And the topic of this live is all about getting shit done this summer so that you can maximize your second half of 2025. Now, this is specifically for service-based founders who aren't particularly chasing more sales this summer, but they're maybe like yourself, desperate to stop that firefighting and get your delivery back on track, whether that's you want to simplify, streamline, or refine for the second half of the year. And this summer might be that one moment where you finally have some time and breathing space. And if that is correct, then this live is definitely for you. I think that summer often gives a really, really good opportunity, and it could be because your clients are off. So there's not as much delivery to be done, and it gives you that opportunity to kind of step back a little bit. It could be that you're operating with a leaner team, but they're really focused and you've got this opportunity to be able to get more done, or that you're going out of office. And if you're like me, you're like, I have some time that I want to go out of office and I want to maximize that time so I don't feel like I have to work. And I can really prepare myself when things are a little bit quieter to make sure that I start, whether that's August, whether that's September, to actually be able to achieve some of those goals that I'd set out when I'd started. So this isn't about us doing more or adding more to our list. It's about what we can do better. And we are going to cover more specifically where you're getting stuck right now, what the reality is for you and your business, and what you can do to change this, like what you can actually do to get stuff done and help. You're going to walk away with this with a real idea of where the issues are, where those blockages are that you can't get what you need to done. And alongside that, give you some quick wins so you can walk away and actually start doing this. Or even during this, you can get some really clear ideas of actions and things that you can tick off straight away. And this is interactive. So I have got if you see me looking to the side, I've got my little LinkedIn screen here where I'm looking at the chat. So if you have any questions, any comments, anything that you would like to share, if anything relates, please drop that in. And there is a slight delay normally between me recording this and then the chat itself. So keep that in mind, but I will make sure to get them. And yeah, I look forward to jumping into this. So let's get started. And let's start with a bit of a reality check on really what's happening right now. And if you are a service-based business owner that you had big goals for 2024, or that you outlined you wanted to increase client retention, you were looking to add some structure to your business, you were looking to improve delivery margins, and you had this feeling last year or at the beginning of this year that you wanted just a sense of calm when operating your business so that you could be a better and more strategic partner for your clients, but you also had time to work on or out the business, with the business being able to maintain itself but keep on growing. And you've now got to this middle point of the year, and either you've not had time to be able to work on any of that because client delivery, or you're feeling quite chaotic and you've not had any headspace to focus on this. And you may have thought, like, clients are happy for now. We've been really busy with client work. We just haven't really had an opportunity to be able to look at any of the actions that we wanted to. But when there's a problem, I will look at this. But yet clients aren't yet staying. So you're bringing on, you're churning through a lot of clients, but they're not staying with you. You keep saying to yourself that we really need process, and you talk about it often, but you haven't had that opportunity yet where you've put in place any process. Like the idea is there and the want's there, but it's just not happened, which means that you're potentially being pulled back into client delivery, or your team are asking a lot of questions, or everything's really reliant on you as the business owner or as the consultant or as the coach to make it happen. And you haven't got the right support systems or mechanisms in place so that you feel like you don't always have to be on. And this might be one of those opportunities where you feel right now that if you were to step away, you were to take a bit of time off this summer, that you might just have to take your laptop with you just in case. Or if a client messages you, that you have to respond just in case, because you can't possibly step away from anything in the business without it falling apart or momentum being lost. And that thought is really quite scary, almost as if there's this big weight that's sat on you and you're not quite sure of how to lift it. And that list of to-dos that you created at the start of the year has piled up so much that you aren't quite sure where to start with it. It's potentially like that. And if anyone else has one, then you will really relate to this. It's like that drawer in the office that you've got, which has a bunch of stuff in, and you add to it. You never want to open it, but you know that you need to sort it out. And that is often how we feel like our business gets at one. When we first started the year and we outlined that that was what we wanted to solve, but because we haven't done anything, it feels even worse now. And the real thing about this is that if we don't take action, and I'm going to be completely honest with you, and this is something that I speak with my clients about, is we can have all these really great ideas and you could work with me on your business, but if you specifically don't take action on those, then nothing's ever going to change. And if nothing changes now, by the end of the year, nothing's still going to change. And you're still going to feel stuck, chaotic. And those goals that you outlined right at the start, increase client retention, improve delivery margins, that feeling of structure where processes are in place in your business and you have a really standard and repeatable way of working so that you can scale, whatever that looks like in more specific detail, isn't going to happen. So has anyone got any questions immediately on any of that, or any feels or anything that you heard and you were like, yeah, that's 100% me? Or did some of that not resonate? Let me know in the chat what comes up for you. And I will take a moment because just looking at the chat here. And while a couple of those potentially come through, I had a couple of questions come through from clients and individuals that I spoke to before this that weren't able to attend. And a couple of those, and I've got these written down here, is like, how do I even start when my to-do list is so long? And speaking to a client of mine, she mentioned that her to-do list is over 300 items long. And that, when she told me that, I immediately sat there and was like, how does that not give you so much anxiety and stress just looking at that huge to-do list? Like 300 things that you've got written down there. And when you look at that every day, that list just keeps on growing and growing. No wonder why that feeling of overwhelm and not knowing where to start is there. And another one of those was like, how can I see where I can optimize and step back? Like what's the first step to be able to do that? And another one is, if I generally just don't have time, like I just don't have time. And a lot of you might be sat here saying, I really do not have any time. How the hell is this possible? And don't worry, that's what we're going to get into. We're going to go through that right now. And what I recommend you do first is to start with an audit. You're not looking to do a full rebuild, add real structure, process. It's not something that's going to add to your to-do list. And that's what's important here, is that if you've got a quiet period this summer where you've got a week that your calendar's not filled up, that's a really golden opportunity to be able to look at your business, take a step back, look at your business and ask yourself. And if this is a really good prompt that pop in the chat if there's anything that comes up for you when I ask this, is what are the main areas that you are looking to develop this summer? So thinking about all those different parts of your business, you've got your sales process, you've got your team structure, roles and responsibilities, you've got your customer experience and being able to find a way to retain clients, you've got processes and systems and improving the way that you're delivering your services, maybe improving your margins on your services themselves. Like, ask yourself what are the main areas and jot them down, make a note of like those main areas that you're looking to find time to develop this summer. And I'll give you a couple of seconds so that you can do that. And if you're someone who's saying, I actually don't know where I need to improve, that I don't know what those bits are that I'm looking to develop, I encourage you to go back to what your goals were at the start of the year. If you've set them, I really hope that you have. If you haven't, obviously now is a really good opportunity to set some goals for the second half of the year. But ask yourself, is what's the most chaotic part of your delivery or your client delivery right now? So reflecting back on the first half of this year and the year previous, but primarily the first half of this year, reflecting back, like what felt really chaotic, what felt really manual, where did I find myself spending so much more time and manual hand-holding for clients, reiteration, amendments. It cost me way more. And a part that just I procrastinated about in my business, and I've pushed it aside, or I've just had to spend a lot of extra care and attention solving problems there and tending to issues across your entire customer journey. And what I mean by that is like through onboarding, your sales process, onboarding, the actual delivery part itself, and that could be broken down into phases, and then offboarding or retention. Where specifically do you know things could be smoother, but you just haven't had that time to fix it? Where is that chaos, that feeling of chaos or anxiety, or the fact that things aren't quite right show up for you right now? And then finally, what does your to-do list look like? What part of your processes feel like they're always duct taped together? And those things that you've outlined that you're like, I really want to get this solved. Now, answering these questions it's that reflection. And once we've reflected back on these and we give ourselves some actions, we're then able to, and if you have written some things down and you'd like to share them, please drop them in the chat. I'd love to answer them. If you're watching this on replay as well, like feel free to drop those in the chat, drop me a direct message, and we can have a look at those. And I'd love to hear what specifically it is for you that's really showing up on your to-do list, or those areas that feel like they've caused a lot of chaos, whether it's clients asking a lot of questions, not giving you the information that you need, they're not giving any feedback to you when you've asked it, testimonials, or you're not able to build case studies around the work that you do because you just don't feel like you've got any client results, or everything's just very ad hoc. There's no real structure. Clients don't get the same experience over and over again. Or for you, that might be that you say, I'm not able to step out of the day to day. I can't find time to work on the business. And I really want the business to grow. It operates, but I'm still getting pulled back in. And if those are the things that you said to yourself earlier, try and reflect and really zone in on where specifically that is. And once we've done that, we can refocus. We can look at what's come up for us. We can start to identify, okay, well, if I want to change this today, what are the actions that I need to take in order to be able to do so? And look at those overall goals that you had, and then identify, like, how do they tie in with that? How do they lead closer towards that? For example, if you're like the client that I have and your to-do list is over 300 items long, have a look at what your goals are for the year and identify in that to-do list, what are the things that are most important to helping me to achieve that? And Stephanie's just put something in the chat to say, looking at several to-do lists, work, private, and more, hoping to leave energized to tackle these lists. I love that, Stephanie. And I think what I would suggest, and this point that I'm making now, is like looking at those to-do lists, looking at your goals overall, and identifying which out of these in my to-do list is the biggest priority for this summer period. Like, what's going to make the difference that I can start September feeling less overwhelmed or chaotic, and will actually make a difference to me feeling like when work gets busy again, or when client work gets busy again, or when my life gets busy, and has someone that I've previously identified have 4 weddings this year, plus a bunch of hen parties. And that meant that I'm traveling between multiple countries regularly with having to take time off, and it's not relaxing time. I've had to be really, really protective over where I'm giving my energy, what I'm prioritizing. And it can be as simple as, with that list, those different lists that you've got, taking a highlighter and highlighting those most important tasks. The others, just put them somewhere separate for now. Move them to the bottom. Move those prioritized tasks or activities to the top, so that you can then really see and go, okay, out of these ones, what time do I have in my calendar? And then from that, you can block out time in your calendar. And I wouldn't recommend scheduling more than one task or one big block of tasks per week. If there's smaller activities that, for example, you've needed to call the doctor, personal ones that are in your head, but they're like, I've needed to do this and I've not done it. I.e., taking back to looking at your drawer that you have, where of your drawer of stuff that you know that you've got to do and you don't want to look at, but now's the time that you've got an opportunity to do so. And it could be potentially, if that for you is getting client feedback, and you've been putting off getting client feedback because you know that you need to do it and you know that you want to be able to find areas to improve, now's your opportunity to block out some time. And you'll firstly identify, what am I asking my clients? What do I want to know? And actually, the second block of time that you would block in for that week is actually going out and sending it to your clients, or booking calls with clients and asking them. And if this for you right now, you're like, this does feel like something that I can tackle. I've got a lot to do, but I'm going to go away. I'm going to prioritize. I'm going to reflect on all those things, refocus myself, and identify what's the most important to get done now. And the final thing that I recommend for you to do, and that you can walk away with, is honestly just take action. Block the time, sit down, turn off all notifications and distractions, and get it done. because the only way that you're going to actually be able to get shit done this summer is if you do it. And you may say, well, yeah, things come in, but something comes up and this came up and this person asked me for this and this happened. But when you give up your time, or you decide that getting your to-do list or ticking off those activities or the blocked time that you've put in your calendar gets pushed, you're giving yourself the permission that something is more important than the stuff that you've outlined that you needed to do. And the reason I say this is because it's something that I've done over the last 4 years, time and time again, when being able to work on my business or being able to put in place systems, processes, and actually get time for myself. I've not done it because I've not given myself the permission to do it, or I've allowed something else to take priority or take first action. And the only person that is standing in your way is you. And if that at all resonates with what you might be thinking, is like, why haven't I done the actions that I've wanted to right now? Let me know. Like, what is it that you think is the reason that you're not getting these things done? And what are your priority? What's your next step to being able to do that? I'm looking at the chat just in case you have any thoughts or anything that kind of springs to mind, because there is a slight delay. So you can say feels like exciting ideas. If I needed to sum it up in one word, execution. As it's a new consulting firm, feels like a lot of new and exciting ideas, but to continue to add to a backlog rather than execute or implement. And that is, I think, something that I can very much relate to there, Stephanie. And one of the biggest blockers that I've had, and I know so many of my clients have, and what's basically stopping them from being able to feel calm and have structure in their business is because they don't execute on their activities or the things that they're trying to say. And that's where having someone to keep you accountable for that often is really, really helpful. And if you're either struggling to audit your own business, or you kind of feel like it's quite a big piece and you don't know where to start, and you're similar to my clients and I am afraid to take some time off or go out of office myself because I feel like the business is going to fall apart, or I just can't see where to optimize and step back, or I don't know where in my client experience there's friction, and I just really want to add a sense of structure. I want to be able to do more for my clients. I want to be able to do more for myself. Reach out. I'm going to drop in the chat on LinkedIn my link to book a call, and just feel free to book in some time. And let me see if I can get the chat up on here. Yes, I can. Book in some time with me. Let's find an opportunity, and I hope that comes up. If it doesn't, then I will drop it in the chat afterwards as I finish this. But find some time and we can talk through this. We can have a look at how to audit your business, or just how you can take action on some of the things that I know, Stephanie, you've shared in, and where you can get started first, and we can bounce those ideas together. If anyone has any questions before I finish, please drop them in. I'll stick around for a couple more minutes, but if there anything else, please drop them in. If you're watching this back, drop them in the chat. If you want to watch this back in areas, this will be uploaded to YouTube as well on my YouTube channel, so that you can access that at any time. And yes, Stephanie, it's a bit of tough love. And I have to do this to myself. I also find that I have to do this to my clients. And sometimes it doesn't go down well, but that's why they've hired me in the first place. And being able to block time, identify what you can do. And if I could sum it up in 3 words, it would be to reflect, refocus, and take action. And you can always measure your success by based on those goals and see if you got one step closer. And walking away from this, if you can reflect on one thing, what would it feel like to get this stuff done? What would it feel like to be able to get that clarity on where specifically you need to optimize and actually make those changes? Thank you so much all for your time. And if there's no other questions, I will catch up with you soon and I don't think I'll be jumping on live again, but have a wonderful summer. And I hope that you are able to get shit done.